In 1988, a new word entered the English language, sarcopenia. It identifies the tendency of our muscles to get smaller and weaker as we age. This is neither an obscure nor an irrelevant condition. In Western cultures, the loss of muscle as the decades go by is precipitous. Between the ages of 20 and 80, people typically lose between 35 and 40% of their strength as their muscle mass declines. When someone is described as elderly, it's that decline that comes to mind. We think of them as frail, unsteady on their feet. Elderly tells us they sit a lot because it's difficult to get up and move, or they have difficulty opening a heavy door or crossing the street. In short, when we think of someone getting old, we think of them becoming weak. A loss of strength affects much more than our ability to run or move furniture around, though. For instance, it affects our ability to breathe. The difference between a sprinter able to move huge volumes of air through her body when needed and the shortness of breath we associate with aging is largely due to a difference in muscle strength. The difference between a young person comfortable in shorts and a t-shirt in temperatures that would send an elderly person reaching for a down coat is largely due to a difference in muscle mass. Our ability to synthesize energy, to remain slim, to resist disease, to stand upright, all are affected by the strength of our muscles. Sarcopenia was coined in the 1980s by Erwin Rosenberg, a Harvard-educated medical doctor who was part of a loose collaboration of researchers keenly interested in this process we call aging. It was a relatively new field in those days. Modern gerontology was kick-started by a landmark study 2 decades in the making and published in 1967. Its release, as Rosenberg noted, shocked the scientific world. It laid out the facts of what happens as we age in vivid statistical detail. Declines in lung function, heart function, mental function, kidney function, not to mention a declining ability to climb stairs, get up from a chair, even walk. In fact, every kind of function you could name that young people take for granted seemed to degenerate with age. A big question remained unanswered by that study, though. Was that deterioration of abilities inevitable, or were there measures that could be taken to slow it, halt it, or perhaps even reverse it? In search of the answers, Rosenberg and a group of colleagues gathered in Albuquerque in 1988 to share research on the aging process. At the conclusion of the meeting, Rosenberg was asked to write a summary of their reports. As he sat before the diverse findings that had been presented, absorbing them, a pattern began to emerge. The one common factor in all the age-related losses that were described was a reduction of muscle mass. It was a moment of epiphany for Rosenberg. As he put it, "I noted then that no decline with age is as dramatic or potentially more significant than the decline in lean body mass." As Rosenberg reflected on this correlation, he wondered why more attention hadn't been paid to it. Here was a condition associated with aging that potentially held more significance than any other, and it didn't even have a name. Rosenberg knew that without a name it would never be a subject of serious study, so he tapped into his knowledge of Greek and proposed the word sarcopenia. It's a composite of 2 Greek roots, sarx, which means flesh, and penia, which means loss.